Greetings, everyone. I am Chauncey Williams, as you see it, and this is section 2 of Get Out of Debt. Get Out of Debt. Going back to the previous sessions, this is session 2, Get Out of Debt. In this section, we will focus on your attention on different highly effective strategies for eliminating debt and beginning to live a debt-free life. I am the author of the book, What Do I Do Now? And the website is WhatDoIDoNow.biz. Check it out. I give away books, information, connection to many services and products to help people with student loan debt, credit cards, and anything from foreclosure to anything dealing with child support. So I'm Chauncey Williams, and this is section 2 of Get Out of Debt. I'll look at some strategies today. We're back to what we had in our first lesson. Again, we have self-esteem is very important to all my clients. And I will tell you this, your growth and your development is strictly contributed to you, credit, and debt. A lot of times, your social emotional wellness is connected to your credit score or how much money you do have in the bank or the concept of money you have with your mind. A lot of times people work for money or exchange time for money, which is not a good thing unless they're doing something they love and they end up saying, wow, they're really paying me to do this. So learning to live below your means is one of the strategies. Working out every day, eating a healthy lifestyle, being around a close group of people that truly love you, that can connect with you. So these are just some pointers to think about when you're thinking about self-esteem when it comes to you, credit, and debt. And as you see at the bottom, I have, again, the credit score going from the worst you could be to possibly the highest. And it happens between the ages of 18. You get that credit score, you walk on a college campus, or you get a credit card in the mail, $250, $500 limit. Next thing you know, you're in debt. So I'll tell you one thing, bills and credit will follow you to your grave. But if you know how to control them, great things will come. So let's go on to the next slide. So again, it breaks down the development cycle. You can develop in two ways, negative or positive. It's all about how you think, how you act, and how you feel, and the choices and the decisions you make. A lot of times we talked about impulse buying in our last sections. We want to avoid being an impulse buyer. We always want to be able to see a higher thinking of ourselves, connected to our self-esteem, and see if it's worth my time or is it developing me in a positive way. Once we change our thinking to a positive way, we act, feel, and make better choices. Again, the concept is the pain we in when we make that bad choice and our credit score dips or we make an impulsive buy or life just happens to us. I call it the pity pot. It's like a deficit that you find yourself in, and you find yourself spiraling in this angry attitude, and you think it's everybody's fault but not your own. But it is yours because it's attached to you. And a lot of times, I didn't know that could happen, or I didn't know I could do that. But you get penalized that in the global economy, especially in our economy. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. A lot of times when it comes to finance, a lot of people think that it's a private world, but it's actually a public world, because that's why you have a social security number. That's why you have a record. That's why you have a driver's license, because people want to trace the history of what you've done. But I can tell you this, for some people, it's like when they look at the concept of their business and their credit, it's really the world's business to know that you are a productive citizen. They can trust you with your finances. You can expose that information to someone that can help you get to the next level. So always look at credit and finances as a public thing for me, because it's always about helping and pushing people, because there are enough people in the world that have been in similar situations to you. So that's always a self-esteem issue on how you expect to grow out of your pain issues. And eventually, if a person does not learn how to resolve it and keeps that closed mindset, you find them dealing with nonsense still, the same debts, the same issues, the same problems they had. And you say they never come out those issues, and they keep their thinking, whereas they thinking, acting, and feeling in a negative way. And we want to shift that to change. And in order to change, there's some things you must do. You need to recognize. First, you need to recognize that you have to have the courage to say, hey, I made some bad mistakes in my 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever it may be, whatever the case may be for you. But also you say that and say, hey, I got to be honest with somebody that knows how to do this, and share what I have going on and get their input and get all the possible solutions I possibly can get so I can make a good decision. And it's not angry and it's not attitude in this direction. It's like you assertive. You have strong emotions towards how you want to change and the positive things you want to come into your life. So that brings in that higher power. And you have that connection with something inside and outside of you. And you draw that energy near you. Networking. Again, I mentioned it earlier about exercise and having the right people around you is imperative because they can give you positive input about the direction your life is going in or your finances, or having like a financial planner, a banker, a tax person to always give you the advice that you need. So then you make those decisions and they're like, I'm proud of you because you made a change or your credit score went up 100 points. That is definitely necessary. And then just going back to that, the G in change, gratitude, being thankful for the situations you've been in, the good and the bad, but seeing the negative situations is something that you can learn from and say, hey, I can lose it all, but eventually I'll have a lesson there. I'm not going to go back to certain situations and certain people and certain spaces in my mind or in my finances. And the last thing is endurance. I'm going to do this every day until I get where I'm supposed to. And then I'm not going to be complacent and say, I'm done. I got the house. I got the car. I got the degree. I'm done. Life's over. No, it's not. Life is more like a, now I wouldn't say a parabola, but it's more like dips. You got these hills. So you have these pity pots, but you can control how deep they are because you'll know where you need to go and what losses you need to take and what gains you're trying to build. And here it is. So you have your higher power, which is your self-esteem. Eventually it goes there. So you have yourself and you have credit and debt. And then you have this growth cycle on how you're growing. You could grow in a negative way or a positive way, but over time changes you, whether you age or the time you're talking about how you're developing as a person. So seconds turns into minutes, minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, days turn into weeks, then it turns into months. So just imagine having a credit issue for years and months and never knowing how to fix it or never asking for help. So also I share what you're thinking, acting, and feeling in a positive way that leads to all the choices you make. So when you have a negative self concept of yourself, you will find yourself more in pain. But when you have a positive self concept with yourself and barriers and obstacles and negative situations come up, your thinking changes and say, hey, maybe let me be honest about this issue. Let me have some gratitude here. Let me find my network. Let me get this endurance out of me. And that eventually trickles down to your credit score and how you make those choices about, okay, do I need this expensive car? Do I need these expensive clothes? Or do I need this extravagant trip if I got to finance it? You get to a resolution where your thinking is deeper and it's critical because you see your future in your time that you spend. Lesson 1, we're in this section 2 and this is lesson 1. It says, keep track of your money. Lesson 1. We're going to dive right into that. So keeping track of your money, lesson 1. In the last volume, we learned about debt and the problem associated with them. We also took a look at the reasons why individuals and families begin to rely on credit and fall painfully behind the problems of excessive debt. In this volume, we will focus on our attention on different highly effective strategies for eliminating debt and beginning to live a debt-free life. The principles and strategies that you will learn are simple, but powerful tools that will work for you. Regardless of your current financial situation, each principle is different. However, they have one important similarity. They require true commitment to eliminating your debt and living a debt-free life. That is important. I would rather be the lender instead of a borrower. If I could be in a situation to get a new car, I would not finance it. I would find a way to at least try to have half the money because I don't like people having control over my time. That's what it really is. If you have a car note that's $300 a month, and you make $30 an hour, that's 10 hours of your day paying for something that you don't even drive every day. So it's like, and then somebody get to call you on that if you miss a payment or something. So these are things I strategically think about. Like I want to live my life where the only person I have to answer to is God. And if I'm in a situation where somebody's supervising me, we're not there and I'm not supervised. We have a relationship where I'm learning from them and they're building me as a person. We're building this great friendship to help others. That's how I look at it. Let's take a look at the first strategy: commitment to maintaining a personal spending record. So a spending record is like the money comes in, money leaves, okay? So a personal spending record is a daily, weekly, and a monthly log of all your spending and expenses. It is a tool that will assist you in keeping an eye on your financial situation. It is also one of the most important tools used for eliminating your debts. Before you can begin to eliminate your debt or change any of your previous problematic spending, you must have a clear understanding of exactly where all the money was spent. Any attempt to fix the problem will end in failure if you're not sure exactly what the problem is. So, the first step is understanding the problem. This can only be accomplished through the clarity and the understanding of your spending that will result in tracking all of it. Not just, all right, I got my check, I paid all my bills, and I got this money. No, every single thing you do. And I barely carry cash on me because I like to monitor everything I have. Only time I have cash on me is my cash I have for the week. So that's what I usually do, and whatever left over from bills. But let's get into this. Keeping track of your spending. As you can see, I got some books there, and it talks about the daily record of cash expenses. From this day forward, it's like you're making a commitment. It is essentially important that all of your daily cash expenses are recorded. This record is not a spending plan and is not a budget. It is merely a record of cash spent daily. It simply requires you to write down a quick description along with the exact amount spent on every transaction. Every day, or search for an app that does this for you. There are tons of them to choose from. To accomplish this task, you will need to carry a planner, a notebook, or a simple phone app. Every time you pay a bill, buy a cup of coffee, go grocery shopping, or make any purchases, you must log your spending, jot down your spending on this record or this app. I use NerdWallet. I'm just going to give them a pitch. I use them. They show me my spending from last year, last month, the things I bought, the bills I paid, and it's all my credit cards and my bank accounts are connected to that app, and it shows that concept for me. So I use that app. I keep a notebook too, and I write down my bills every month, and I attach scripture to them, and I pray over them. I pay my tithes, and that's how the capacity I work in. So here's a basic spending record. So I'm going to break it down for you, and we're going to go in great detail where I'm going to have a link for you to click on and where you can just go and see how this can actually be done. So the following is an example of the daily spending record. So it's exercise 1.1. So you have the item description and the amount. And we're talking about straight cash, what you're buying. So if you have an app or you want to write it out, some people still do write things out. You can do that. So I use NerdWallet. Every time I use my card, it shows me what I'm doing. And then it makes me conscious of my behaviors the next month, and it calculates everything up. So you have an app or a notebook in this day and age. You got a smartphone, you got your calendar in there, you got your credit cards in there, you got your money in there. So I recommend, if you aren't good at keeping up with notebooks, get an app. So if you like NerdWallet like I do, go for it. Non-daily cash expense. When making a non-cash purchases, credit cards, and debit cards, it is not necessary to log these transactions on your daily spending log. These purchases should be recorded in your checking account log or phone app and will be consolidated with your cash expenses on a weekly basis. Because the internet of this volume is an elimination of debt, credit cards should be only used in emergency situations, I think. Or you can use them in situations where you have gasoline and items you're getting rewards and points for, but you control that debt every week. Like, you know that you drive, you have lunch, you make groceries. You purchase groceries with this card. Weekly record of cash expenses. When you keep daily records of all your cash transactions, it becomes quite simple to calculate your total weekly cash expenses. Once your system is in place, it may take only 15 to 20 minutes weekly to total your expenses. To begin, you must decide on spending categories that will allow you to summarize your expenses, but it will also allow you the ability to clearly see where and how your money is spent. For example, having a category called food expenses without distinguishing between groceries, dining out, fast food, and snacks can make it quite difficult to determine how your money was spent. Key specific categories will allow you to determine if any spending areas are problematic and in which areas there's room to change. Most people will generally develop between 25 and 35 categories of expenses. The precise categories will probably contain an entry every month and will give you a clear picture of your spending habits. The more specific your categories, the clearer your understanding of your spending habits will be, and you will have more control of your spending. Completing your weekly spending log on top of a piece of paper, write down the weeks and the dates. Next, complete a list of categories from your monthly expense log that were used on any of your daily spending sheets from the previous week. Be sure to acknowledge and record any spending or expense made that week from your checking account. When you master the daily spending record, then you will be able to see the spending examples record as follows. And this is a breakdown of how I do it. And I'm going to have a sheet that I'm going to share with you also as a link for you to check in on this page to be able to go to. So your weekly summary example. So for me, it's groceries, dining out, fast food, entertainment, laundry. Because I do go to the laundromat and I got a dry cleaner. So gasoline, parking, supposed to say snacks, haircut, beauty supplies, miscellaneous, and total. So we have Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, and the total of those goods. Again, that's this week, the weekly spending record 1.2. You can break down the next week, and it just keeps on building that concept. So then now this goes, you're going to do it. So just think about it. You got your credit cards, then you got your weekly spending with everything else. Now you got the impulse ones. So the month, you purchase what for whom. You was riding out and say, I'm going to buy these shoes, or I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to go to this hotel, or spend this money on this trip. What are the impulse items you buy? Sometimes people have a long list because they say this, I don't even know where all that money went. And that's a problem. Monthly expense record. When you have completed your weekly spending record on a page 64, and this came out of my book, so we're translating my book to the notes. So check to see that they are accurate and transfer your entries from weekly spending record onto the monthly expense log. The categories should be the same for both your monthly and weekly record, which will make the transferring of information simple. At the end of the month, simply totaling each category's weekly expense will provide you with an accurate account of your monthly spending. Adding the totals column will give you a total monthly spending. So now what? The primary purpose of maintaining a spending log is to allow you to have a better understanding of your life. Let's face it, if your income was unlimited, you probably wouldn't have a debt problem with debt. You probably would, because you have more stuff than you need. So you become a hoarder, I think. After completing the first month's spending log, many people are shocked to realize the amount of money they spend on unnecessary, impulsive, and sometimes wasteful purposes. They also may have better realization of the impact of some of the bad and costly habits they partake in. For example, Billy, a computer programmer, will stop at a local party for celebrations, almost every weeknight. After completing his first monthly spending record, Billy realized that he spent over $400 a month on just a good time. Man, that could be a car, it could be a life insurance policy where he can get some money back in 10 years that can pay back. Imagine $400 on a weekend, on a week, or a month. $400 a month, you can get disability insurance, you can have life insurance, you can save $100. You could break that $400 up and go to 4 different buckets. I call them buckets because you can put your money in. Let's look at retirement, $100 a month. A young 20-year-old, he'll have $1 million later because he can keep on building that. Insurance, $100 a month. Disability insurance, and some type of expense fund for 6 months. Which is just with that $400. Just imagine. And here's lesson exercise 1.3, monthly and income and expense. So you're taking your gross income per month. We like to do gross because I think about paying the tithes out of gross and that's important. So then you got your salary, you got all the other categories, entertainment, and etc. But then you have the next taxes, charitable gifts, that's a tithes, miscellaneous toiletry, electricity, taxes, medical expense, savings, charitable gifts. As you keep on going, it still lists things down, and you will break those down. And there will be a link provided for you to click on also. So you can click on that link to go to the actual document if you want to print up the document. And there are some more things on the document.